Classroom Dynamics is supported by Logitech. As education continues to evolve, so does Logitech Education, your partner in content creation for the classroom. With Logitech's cutting-edge technology, students not only learn but also become content creators. Whether it's in person or online, Logitech's tools are designed to inspire educators and learners alike. Capture every educational moment in stunning detail and edit, produce, and share your creative journey with ease. Logitech Education, inspiring the next generation of creators. For more, visit logitech.com/education, transforming classrooms one innovation at a time. Every classroom has the potential to be extraordinary, and the Logitech Reach adjustable content camera is your partner in making that happen. With its flexible arm and clear video, you can now showcase everything from detailed drawings to live experiments, ensuring that every student is engaged and involved. Whether you're teaching in person or online, Logitech Reach helps you connect with your students in a whole new way. Ready to take your lessons further? Visit logitech.com/reach and elevate your classroom to a whole new level. Teachers, are you looking for resources that spark creativity and inspire learning? Look no further than Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers. From comprehensive lesson plans and interactive lapbooks to engaging informational test prep passages, Highly Motivated has everything you need to keep your students motivated and excited to learn. Whether it's a quick activity or a full unit, these resources are designed to save you time and help students succeed. Highly Motivated, motivating teaching resources that engage and inspire. Search Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers today. Welcome to Classroom Dynamics Bits and Bytes, the podcast within the podcast where we explore cutting-edge technologies and innovative ways to enhance the educational experience. Hi everybody, I'm your host Adam Todd, and today we're combining two EdTech fan favorites together as we explore a new feature on BrainPOP that's merging creativity with computer science called creative coding. What's really cool is that BrainPOP's creative coding tool lets students use Scratch and Vidcode to bring learning to life. So whether your topic is the Wright brothers or right angles, this tool helps students build stories, solve puzzles, and tackle engaging projects, all the while learning to code. Now I know what you might be thinking. You barely know how to code yourself, let alone teach it. But don't worry, BrainPOP has your back. Creative coding is built to be intuitive with step-by-step instructions and scaffolded support. You don't need prior coding experience, and neither do your students. So why is creative coding such a hit with teachers? Well, for one, it aligns beautifully with ISTE standards and helps students develop computational thinking skills. But what really sets it apart is how seamlessly it integrates with your existing curriculum. Each coding project ties directly to a topic that you're already teaching. Now imagine this. Your students aren't just memorizing vocabulary or concepts. They're applying them to create a digital museum, a conversation between characters, or even a sorting game. It's a creative way for students to show what they know, and it doubles as an informal assessment tool for you. Creative coding isn't just about today's lesson. It's about preparing students for tomorrow's challenges. Coding builds computational thinking skills, which include breaking down problems, finding patterns, prioritizing information, and developing step-by-step solutions. These are skills your students will use far beyond the classroom. And here's the kicker. By learning to code, students gain a 21st century skill set that sets them apart for future careers in tech, engineering, and beyond. Now, recently, we've been combining our Bits and Bytes podcast shorts together with Google Notebook LM to go even deeper when it comes to the information that we're sharing. So here's an AI extension of what we've already mentioned, plus a whole lot more. Take a listen.
Welcome to our deep dive on BrainPOP coding. So it sounds like you're ready to bring coding into your classroom, and I'm super excited to help you get started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Today, we're going to unpack what BrainPOP coding even is. Explore how it fits into your lessons and, all that good stuff.
Right.
And, of course, we'll talk about why these coding skills are, essential for your students and their future. It's a big deal.
It really is amazing how BrainPOP coding does so much.
Yeah.
It's not just about, the technical points of coding, right? Mm-hmm. It's a tool to, boost learning in, all different subjects. I mean, imagine, right, your students are creating a choose-your-own-adventure game, but it's about, the Oregon Trail.
Right, yeah.
They're not just memorizing names and dates anymore. They're making decisions, problem solving, and they're learning to tell stories all through code.
That's awesome. I love that example. And yeah, I can totally see those aha moments happening in the classroom. So, all right, let's break it down. What exactly is BrainPOP coding, and how does this all work?
Well, remember when you were a kid and you played with those Lego blocks?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's kind of what BrainPOP coding is like. It uses something called block-based coding with a platform called Scratch, perfect for grades 3 through 8, for getting them started with coding.
Okay, so it's visual, hands-on.
Exactly.
And that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
For younger students.
Exactly. So they just drag and drop these colorful blocks, snap them together like a sequence, and they see what happens right away, like instantly. They're learning the steps, the logic to make things work on a screen, which is like the whole foundation of computational thinking.
Because it was like a digital puzzle.
Yeah.
And they're not just, following steps. They're solving problems, creating something new.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, for students who are ready to move past the blocks, right? BrainPOP also has this platform called Vidcode. It's for text-based coding. It uses drag and drop too, but for visuals.
Okay.
But, and this is the really cool part, the actual JavaScript code pops up next to those visuals so they can see it all.
Oh, wow. So they can literally see that connection between the visuals and the code making it happen.
Instant feedback.
Yeah.
Makes the switch from block-based coding to, text-based way less scary. It's like they're looking behind the curtain and seeing how the magic trick works, right?
Right.
So coding feels more real, less abstract.
Well,
and a lot of professional coding places actually use these visual interfaces too, so.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, they're getting a taste of what it's like in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not like some random skill they're learning.
Yeah.
It's something they might use, later in their career.
Right.
Absolutely. But I bet some teachers are thinking, okay, this is all pretty cool, but how do I actually use this in my classroom? Is this just for a computer science class?
That's a great question. And that's actually where BrainPOP coding really excels. It's not just abstract. It connects with the stuff you're already teaching. Think about it. Let's say you're doing a lesson on the solar system.
Okay, yeah.
Students could use the code to create a simulation of the planet's orbiting.
Oh, wow, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, so instead of just reading about planets, right, they're interacting with those concepts, they have to problem solve to get the orbits right. And they see how it all plays out.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
It's that deeper engagement, it leads to a deeper level of understanding, much more than just reading a textbook.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be science either. You could be teaching about different types of governments.
Yeah.
Students could use BrainPOP coding to make an interactive quiz where they have to match the qualities of each system of government.
Okay, yeah, that's way more interesting than just reading definitions from a textbook.
Right.
It's hands-on, right?
Exactly.
They're applying what they've learned and getting that feedback right there.
And as they're building these projects, they're working on those computational thinking skills without even realizing it,
Oh, that's great. And speaking of computational thinking, I know we touched on that earlier, but could you maybe explain that a bit more? Some teachers might be wondering what that even means.
Absolutely.
And why it's important.
It's a really important question. I mean, that's really why coding is becoming so important these days.
Yeah.
Computational thinking is basically the ability to look at problems in a systematic and logical way, kind of like a computer does.
So it's not just about knowing how to code. It's a whole way of thinking, right?
It's about breaking down big, complicated tasks into smaller steps.
Right.
It's about recognizing patterns, figuring out what information is really important, and coming up with a step-by-step plan to solve the problem.
Yeah.
It's when you're writing a really big research paper, you don't just start writing whatever comes to mind.
Right.
You break it up into sections.
Right.
The intro, the different paragraphs for the body, the conclusion.
Yeah.
Coding helps students learn to think that way about any problem that come across.
I see.
Yeah.
So it's like giving them a framework to use for tackling those challenges.
Yeah.
Not just in coding, but in any subject, in life, really.
It really is. And as technology becomes a bigger and bigger part of our lives, this way of thinking is, well, it's just becoming more and more important,
It makes sense. Now, I know some teachers are worried about, how to fit coding in, right? Their schedules are already so packed.
Yeah.
Where do they even begin?
Well, BrainPOP gets that. And that's why they made these pacing guides.
Okay.
Super helpful. They lay out a clear way to integrate coding into different subjects.
Okay. So there's like a roadmap.
Yeah, you don't need to be, a coding expert to use them. They really help, if you're feeling a little intimidated.
Right, exactly.
They give you suggestions for projects. They link you to relevant BrainPOP videos and activities. They offer tips for helping students at different levels.
That's great. It takes away some of that uncertainty.
Exactly.
Like, where do I even start?
And we can't forget about why all this matters in the real world. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And I know a lot of parents ask that too, how will this help my kid in the future?
Exactly. And the reality is we can't predict what jobs will even exist in 10 or 20 years.
Right.
But what we can do is give our students those adaptable skills,
Mm-hmm.
the skills they'll need to succeed,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Right.
And computational thinking is at the core of that.
Okay, so even if a student become a programmer,
Right.
the skills they get from coding are going to help them no matter what they choose to do.
Exactly. Think about it. Let's say a student is interested in, healthcare. Imagine a future where doctors are using AI tools to help diagnose patients.
Oh, yeah?
Understanding how that technology works, how to look at the data, think systematically, that's going to be so important.
Yeah.
And those are all skills they can learn through coding.
So it's not just about coding for a specific job.
Right.
It's about building up that problem-solving mindset that can be used anywhere.
That's exactly it. And this is true for creative fields too, music production.
Oh, yeah.
Graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
Technology is always changing in these areas. And the people who can adapt, solve problems,
Yeah.
and even make new tools by coding, those are the people who are going to have a real advantage.
For sure.
Exactly.
It sounds like BrainPOP coding really is about so much more than just those technical skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about, building that way of thinking, that adaptability, something they can use in the future no matter what they end up doing.
You got it. And that's what's so exciting, really. By bringing coding in a way that's engaging, that connects to their learning, you're not just teaching them how to code, you're teaching them how to think, period.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And it actually makes me think about what you said earlier about BrainPOP coding being like building with Legos.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about that a bit more? What do you mean by that?
Sure. Think about how kids use Legos, right?
Yeah.
They start with just a few blocks, but what they build, it all comes from their imagination.
Right. Yeah.
It's the same with BrainPOP coding. It gives them those building blocks, those concepts of computational thinking, but it's up to them to use those blocks to build their own solutions, their own stories, their own creative projects,
So they become the creators.
Exactly.
Not just, using the technology, but making it.
You got it. And that's where the real learning happens, when they have to solve a problem, when they have to create something, to experiment, to try things out and make it better. That's when those computational thinking skills really start to take hold.
And like we've been talking about, those skills are useful everywhere, not just in coding.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if they're in a science lab looking at data, if they're designing a marketing campaign, composing music, even just organizing their closet.
Right.
Being able to think logically, break things down, make a plan to solve a problem, it's all going to help.
It's like giving them a superpower, a secret weapon they can use.
I like that. And with BrainPOP coding, it brings in all these, big concepts.
Right.
But it does it in a way that's fun for students. They're not just memorizing rules.
Yeah.
They see what their code does right away.
Yeah.
They make things happen and they have fun doing it.
Yeah. That excitement, that makes such a big difference.
Right, exactly. And for any teachers who are just starting out with coding, remember BrainPOP has so many resources.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a coding expert yourself.
That's good to know.
You've got the pacing guides, project ideas, tutorials.
Yeah.
They're all there to help you bring coding into your classroom and feel good about it.
Absolutely. That's so important for teachers who might, feel a little unsure about coding.
Definitely. So don't be afraid to try things out.
Yeah.
Learn with your students. Take on the challenge. Get creative and watch your students become amazing problem solvers.
So, to all the educators out there, are you ready to unlock a world of possibilities with BrainPOP coding? We hope this deep dive has given you what you need to get started. You don't have to be a coding expert, really,
Not at all.
to help your students become creators, innovators, problem solvers. And hey, maybe you'll discover your own coding talent along the way, too.
You never know.
Thanks for joining us.
For more on Classroom Dynamics, follow us on X at Class Dynamics or on Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. And be sure to search Classroom Dynamics on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast shows.